Subscribe and hit that bell icon to be notified about the highlights of India's smartest podcast, The Ranveer Show. This is TRS Clips. While we spoke about scanning products around you, scanning brands around you, understand we're at the cusp of something called the Web3 revolution. When we were growing up, the richest person, the mainstream richest person in the world was Bill Gates. If you study Bill Gates, he caught on to the hardware revolution of the world before most people caught on to it. He caught on to the software revolution of the world before most people caught on to it. There's another revolution that's coming up, which is the Web3 revolution. This is a money-making point. At this stage, maybe you can't directly invest in too many Web3 possibilities, but your job is to study the theory of Web3. What is happening out there? What is crypto? What are NFTs? What is the metaverse? It's not limited to just meta. There's a lot of different aspects of the metaverse. How is human life going to change? How are we going to live differently by 2031? How's the world of AI evolving? You guys have to keep up with technology to keep your eye open for future opportunities, so that you'll be able to spot a particular company in the stock market where you can place bets on that company, the dark horse companies, so that you can see patterns before they actually take place in the real world. Before the world of podcasting came to India, we had to rely on a lot of Silicon Valley podcasts to understand what's happening in the West. But because podcasting has become a culture in India, we've caught up with the West, and Silicon Valley, the West in general, is very excited about Web3. You guys need to learn about it. From a financial standpoint, the only thing most people know about Web3 is crypto. And there are money-making opportunities in crypto. Of course, this video is not about cryptocurrencies. We're not giving you recommendations or suggestions. But the big financial suggestion is study Web3.
Growing up, Bill Gates was the most traditional, well-known billionaire. Now, there's this guy named Vitalik Buterin, who's possibly the youngest billionaire to ever have come through. And he's the founder of Ethereum. Again, there's going to be many billionaires coming through. There's a bunch of people who made millions out of just NFTs. Just by holding some NFT for 30 days, 60 days, look up this thing called CryptoPunks.
Yeah.
And that's the new big opportunity. And the fun part about Web 3.0 is that it's completely decentralized. So there is not one person, only someone like a Bill Gates or a Warren Buffett who's going to make all the money in the world. There are going to be multiple more billionaires that are going to spring out of this ecosystem.
Okay, now the CTA for you, the call to action for you for this Web3 point is, what do you do now? Use Twitter very actively. There's a massive Web3 community on Twitter. Follow them. Balaji Srinivasan, Naval Ravikant, Elon Musk himself. This guy is deeply into crypto himself.
And also check out Discord. That is truly where the whole ecosystem on Web 3.0 is.
Yeah.
That is truly like the dark horse of it all. It's like the Reddit of crypto.
Yeah, and get into podcasts. The Tim Ferriss Show, which is one of my favorite all-time podcasts, he does a lot of content around crypto, around Web3. Start listening to these podcasts because it'll be your edge in your career. Careers are going to switch up over the next 5 to 10 years, and whoever knows how to traverse through that Web3 based world is going to be amongst the winners. Be amongst the winners. So that brings us to the next point, which is again more of a call to action style point. We're talking about keeping up with the future, spotting patterns before they happen. A big part of spotting patterns before they happen is kind of filter out some of the stuff you're hearing from really old relatives or even your parents. That's a different generation. They looked at money in a different way. You've got to turn to people ideally in their late 20s who are stable, or you've got to look at people in their 30s who are kind of playing differently with money. Get advice from a lot of different people in their late 20s and in their 30s, because that's what will shape up your view on money, your view on finance, your view on investments.
A lot of uncles are going to, at weddings, tell you that, beta, acha paisa kama rahe ho, real estate mein paisa dal do, and all of that. But you probably are not getting anywhere close to the returns in real estate that you are in crypto, for example.
Yeah.
Again, this is not an investment advice. I'm not saying invest only in crypto, but look at smarter alternatives. There are better ways to make money than just investing in FDs and real estate.
Yeah, like keep that returns word and concept at the center of your mind when you're thinking of making any investment. Okay, even when it comes to real estate, people are now not in a zone to buy houses unless that money required to buy a particular house is worth chiller, worth coins for them. Then they'll go and buy it. Yeah. People instead invest in something called REITs, Real Estate Investment Trust. Now, what is that? Again, this is not a video about real estate. We've covered this in podcasts. My point of bringing that up is the world of money and investments has changed and you need to keep up. Podcasts will help you keep up with it. Videos like this will help you keep up with it. You've got to understand what's out there and be very unemotional about your investments. That generation, our parents' generation, those uncle and aunties' generation, they were very emotional about their investments. Real estate, gold, silver, old school. It gave you returns back in the day. But now there's better options.
They were also very status driven, right? Immediately, as soon as you had like some money, get that big Mercedes, get that big like SUV and all of that. Now we're all about spending more wisely.
Okay, now the next point. This is sort of the point that we've just crossed in our own financial journeys. You know, we're very active startup investors and we've gotten lucky. We got lucky for two reasons. We created a business that made money. We had a lot of right place, right time, but we also worked incredibly hard. Secondly, we attracted the right people. Samne se. Once you've done something with your career in life, you will attract a network yourself. You also definitely have to work on people skills. You have to work on your networking skills. But your networking skills will bring you the startup opportunity. There's a lot of people in our country with money. There's not a lot of people with the right kind of networks.
With the right kind of access. And honestly, startup investments purely come with access. It doesn't matter if you have 100 crores sitting in your bank. If you cannot add value to that startup, the founder will not want to give you equity, will not want to put you on the cap table. What matters is the right kind of expertise that you bring to the startup and the right kind of access that you have. You have friends of friends who are running startups and are looking to raise funds and want you on the cap table. That's how you'll be able to build that network.
And you know, this is something I tweeted recently. Please take this as a big career lesson. Before learning how to make money, learn how to make friends and retain friends as well. Ooh. Because when people really like you, they are going to bring opportunities to the table. Go for conferences, go for networking events, go for parties, talk to people you don't know. At this stage, the call to action for you is work on your people skills, work on your career. So that eventually in life, when you worked enough on your career, you've built enough through your people skills, you're able to win hearts, you're able to win the right kind of opportunities, which will get you the right startup investments. You know, startup investments work. So technically, Viraj and myself are angel investors. Now, what's an angel investor? On the outside, people might be thinking that, oh, they're investing crores in startups. It's not like that. Yeah. Imagine you have a buffet of 10 startups and you've put 5 lakhs in each of those 10 startups. It's very likely that only one of those 10 will actually succeed the way you want it to. But that one which succeeds, now you spend totally 50 lakhs, the one which succeeds will give you 100x returns, 200x returns, which makes up your money and more. So you've made money through that one startup, now you've got more of capital. You take some money out, put it into your savings, you're left with the remaining money, which you can again divide into multiple different startups in small amounts. That's called angel investing, and this is how angel investing works in the cream layer of India as well.
True. And again, this is not investment advice. And we also are very aware that 50 lakhs as an amount is massive. But when you do build that leverage, when you do get to that stage, I personally would much rather invest that 50 lakhs over 10 startups purely for the fun and joy of getting involved with so many startups and the minute possibility of getting an exponential return than spending that 50 lakhs over an SUV. That's purely because of the person that I am.
Yeah. You need the right kind of guidance, you need the right kind of mentors, you need the right kind of people to bring you the right kind of opportunities. So there's a whole game to be played here. Maybe we'll talk about it in detail in another video. Okay, which brings us to the second last money tip. This is not going to be very elaborate. Simple point. Once you have a certain amount of capital that you made through your business, through your job, play with the money a little bit. Have something called an abundance mindset. Look at that money as potential. Look at it as something you can use to build more money, to build more services, to build more products, to build more jobs. Have that kind of mindset when it comes to money after you've secured a certain amount of money.
My formula to that is if I have enough capital to live off of 6 months without having to do any job or any kind of work, I have the ability to take risks. And I will take those risks in terms of investing in new businesses, investing in new asset classes and things like that.
Again, I'm not going to elaborate too much. I actually made a very detailed video on my own personal finance strategy. Go check that out. I've spoken about attack-minded investments, especially in business. This is what we're talking about. Once you have a certain amount of money you saved up, think of the money that's left and don't look at it as money. Don't look at it as coins that you'll use to buy food or clothes. Look at it as coins which will build much larger coins. Have that mindset switch. And finally, the 10th point, another mindset-based money tip.
Just learn to have fun. I keep reading these tweets about, oh, if your father had bought that Royal Enfield stock or Eicher Motor stock instead of buying the Royal Enfield, you would have been worth thousands of crores. What the no, at that point, my father wanted to go for a ride and was a bike enthusiast. So it does not matter. Stop thinking of these as missed opportunities. If you want to buy that car, if you want to buy that bike, please go ahead. If you're an enthusiast, please learn to have fun. But also know that that probably is a trade-off. And if you're okay with that, that's not an issue. Learn to have fun. Don't always think that, hey, if I have 500 rupees in my hand, should I choose the Domino's pizza or should I choose the Jubilant Foodworks stock? It's okay to have that Domino's pizza because you're craving it at that moment. Stop making choices of thinking that, hey, should I be spending money or should I just be investing? Well, if you're only going to invest, you're probably not having fun in the moment, which is equally important, especially when you're young.